Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 44th episode and season 1 finale of Visioncon Live, your go-to nerdy talk show. I'm your host, Zach Wilson. You didn't come here to see me today. You came to see the person of the hour. They're Paimon from Genshin Impact, Mizuki from Somnium Files, Anshu Yuki from Love Live School Idol Project, just to name a few. They're the quintessential and beloved legend who's here to help us close out both 2020 and Season 1 of Visioncon Live. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the one, the only, Corina Boettger. Corina, how are we doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing dandy as candy. Oh my God. Corina, so for those of you who missed the pre-show, we kind of divulged a little embarrassing moments that we would like to fix if we went back in time. We won't divulge that any further, partly because I already have to apologize to Robbie Damon once, but Corina, we got a lot to talk about in a pretty stacked season finale. So I want to start off right away with you are making huge waves in the entertainment industry, both back then, but also definitely now. But what I want to know first and foremost is how we got here. Was show business and the entertainment industry kind of always the plan, or did something happen later on in life that kind of led you down this path?
So I knew at the age of 5 that I wanted to be an actor. That was something that I always wanted to do. And I was like, this is it. This is the only thing I ever want to do. It's the only thing I ever am gonna do. And I went to my parents and I was like, Mom, Dad, I want to be an actor. And they were dumb enough to listen to me. Like, I always look back at that and I'm like, if I had a kid and they were 5 years old and they go, I want to be an actor, I would have been like, okay, whatever, go and play. Like, go play with your Legos. Like, you're, and they were like, okay. So my mom was very instrumental in the whole thing because I was lucky enough that my mom had the time to really put into helping me. My dad was a pilot, so he was always supportive, but he comes and goes as all the time as a pilot does. And my mom was like, okay, we're gonna get you into classes, we're gonna see if you really like this, and then we're gonna start auditioning. And I started out doing doing free community theater things and doing other classes, and then eventually I did a class with a professional, and they were like, she should audition for this theater up in Redmond. Or did my mom find it in the newspaper? It might have been one of the other. I don't remember which one it was. It might have been the newspaper. It might have been one of my teachers. But it was Roar of the Grease Paint, Smell of the Crowd. That was the musical. And I auditioned, and that was my first paying job. My second paying job was technically my first voiceover job ever, because I did classes and stuff for 3 years. So I was 5, and then at 8 years old was when I booked my first professional theater show. And then after that, I got picked, I think, from that show, or I auditioned. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. Please forgive me. But they needed children to do a promo for a video game. I don't remember what the video game was. All I know is it was just a commercial for it. So I'm not in the actual video game. But they needed children to do a creepy Sunday school jump rope rhyme sort of thing or whatever. And that was my first voiceover job ever, was that promo. And then I kept on doing classes, auditioning for theater and up in Seattle. And my mom got me in touch with a manager down in LA. And so then I started flying down to LA for auditions, booked my first movie, Aquila and the Bee, when I was 16. And yeah, from then on, I did a whole bunch of on-camera stuff. I was a guest star on My Name is Earl. I was a co-star on Glee, Shameless, Desperate Housewives, Awkward, The Mick. And then I was like, wait, hold on, voiceover is awesome, and I keep on being told I should do voiceover. How do I do that? Because getting into the industry is different for each thing. Getting into theater is different than getting into on camera, and it's different than getting into voiceover. The base of acting is the same, but getting into those fields are different each way. And so I started then taking voice acting classes, and I learned from my teachers on how to kind of get my foot in the door. And that was like 5 years ago. So yeah.
And here we are now. We came a long way from My Name's Earl.
Yeah.
And before we get too much into it, guys, I do want to note, if you're watching this live here on Facebook, plenty of you have already either messaged Visioncon directly, your viewers' comments and questions that we'll get to at the end. But for those of you that are new to the show, you can either, yes, message Visioncon directly, or put them in the live chat, again, if you're watching this live here on Facebook, and then we will get to your guys' viewers' comments and questions right at the end. But with that said, so yes, we have come a long way from My Name is Earl and the Mick, all the way to where we are today. And there were 3 characters in particular that I kind of mentioned in the intro that I definitely want to divulge in. The first one of which, and we would be remiss if we did not talk about this character, that of course is Paimon from Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact, my newest craze and my newest obsession is Genshin Impact. Before this, I wasn't even familiar with what a gacha game was. And then at first when I saw it, I just kind of thought, it's like just like an anime Breath of the Wild, I guess. But it's, oh my God, it is so much more than that. It has in-depth storytelling. The characters are so fleshed out. They're not just kind of, typical anime stand-ins. The game is just phenomenal. And you fit a role that is not new to video gaming. The sidekick that kind of takes you around. But Paimon is just phenomenal. You have fleshed her out so in-depthly. And so my first question is, I wanted to ask just, what was the general experience with Paimon? Was there anything in specific that you kind of did to kind of prepare the voice for her? And just kind of how you got the job and anything like that?
Well, I can tell you that when I got the job, I originally auditioned with Paimon with a lower voice closer to the voice I'm using now, my natural tone.
Yep.
It was just like a step higher than that. And then when we got into the booth after I booked it was when MiHoYo was like, no, higher pitched. And so they kept going until Paimon is the voice that you hear today. But they told me that I actually got told by MiHoYo the reason why I got the job was how I said one sentence. And it was the sentence, drink it, it's good for you. And apparently the way that I said it was so good with the whole yeah, drink it, you might die, that sort of intent behind it. They were like, yes, you got the whole idea that Paimon is good but also kind of mischievous. And I was like, well, that's just me. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like with a lot of characters, especially as you spend a lot of time with them, you really connect with the things that are similar to you. And I mean, I've even been told by MiHoYo that they were like, for some reason, Paimon is just sassier in the English. And I was like, well, that's because I'm sassy.
Your own personal
That's why. Because because Paimon has the Chinese voice actor, the Japanese voice actor, and the Korean voice actor, and then me, and we all have our little differences with the way they do them. And it's not to say one is better than the other. We just pick up on different things about Paimon that we attach to, and mine is definitely the sassiness that comes out, and so that's why Paimon's more sassy in English. According to that, yeah.
And it's that sort of characterization that I was kind of referring to a little back ago, because, sidekicks that, guide the main character throughout the story and kind of the overworld. I mean, it's nothing new in video gaming, say Navi from Ocarina of Time, Claptrap from the Borderlands series, etc. There's plenty of examples. However, there is a distinct and really inspiring characterization that you have put into Paimon to, yes, make her very sassy, yet also very heartwarming and just a joy to be around. So, but when you found out that you were going to voice such a central character in Genshin Impact, which is, as we all know, the hot and breakout JRPG and just kind of the action game going out right now, was there ever any pressure involved in that?
I don't think I really felt the pressure until actually a few months before the game was coming out. Like, cause I was like, oh, cool. I guess I'm this character, and I didn't really understand. They were like, yeah, you kind of guide the lead character, and I was like, okay, whatever. Audition done. Because as an actor, you want to get into the habit of audition, turn it in, forget about it, because you might not book it, and you don't want to you have a billion other auditions to audition, and you can't focus on one. You have to do all of them, and so when I got the call that I actually got the job, I was like, oh, awesome. I get to work with Chris Fiala. That was the main thing. It wasn't even the character, because I didn't really know the character yet. Because when you get the audition, you're only given 10 lines to audition with. So it doesn't really tell you what your character does. It doesn't really tell you how important your character is. Until I walked in, and then Mihoyo and Chris was like, so basically you're if this was the equivalent of Ocarina of Time, like you mentioned, they actually said this to me.
Yep.
You are the Navi of this world. And then I was like, seriously? Oh my god, yes! Because I know other people find Navi annoying or Claptrap annoying. That's the point. They're supposed to be. I love those characters. I personally love those characters. I don't personally find them annoying, but I see how other people do. But I also understand, as an actor and as a person on the more creative side, these characters are supposed to be that way. They're supposed to be that way. And it's supposed to be a situation of they kind of grow on you eventually. That's kind of how it's actually supposed to happen with these characters. So I was like, yes, I get to be Navi. This is my 7-year-old dream right now. Because that's all when I was a kid, Nintendo had Ocarina of Time out, and when I played it, I was like, wait, did that little fairy actually say words? Because voice acting in games was not a thing. At least that, as far as I knew at the time. My first fully voice acted a game that I experienced was Perfect Dark. But before that, it was just Ocarina of Time, and it blew my mind that this little fairy was actually saying words to me. I didn't care if it was repeated over and over again. It was blowing my mind. And then, you get to other characters, and they all say, well, they don't say actual words themselves. They more grunt and stuff like that. But that was enough for me as a kid, where I was like, they're saying things. They're saying, I want to be Navi when I grow up. That's what I want to be. And so this was my equivalent of, you are now Navi and you are grown up. You just achieved your dream that you said you were when you were a kid. This is it. That was the dream right there. So it was more of yeah, it was more just an excitedness about that. And then, yeah, I didn't really feel the pressure until a few months before this game came out, when I started realizing, oh, this game's actually bigger than I thought it was going to be. Cool. Because you kind of see on Twitter when a game is just starting to do its marketing and stuff, and see I was like, oh, okay, they got 6,000 people following them, and that was back in January. I was like, cool. And then I didn't check it again until the beta came out, and then all of a sudden my director was like, have you seen the fans and how crazy they are about the beta and stuff like that? And I was like, no. What? And then I go to the Twitter, I'm like, it has 100,000 people on it now.
Oh.
Or more than 100,000. I don't even know. It was a crazy number, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is gonna be the biggest game that I'm going to be in currently. Cool.
And that's only grown since.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, and then speaking of popular games, maybe not to the degree as Genshin Impact, but still phenomenal in its own genre. That, of course, is iSomnium Files, and where you, of course, play the titular character, Mizuki. Now, before we get too much into this, I'll be the first to admit it. I'm not generally into kind of more the visual novel style of video games. However, this one just got me. It was so mysterious and intriguing, yet also something I appreciate. It didn't take itself too seriously, even with the kind of darker subject matter, which I appreciated. And I loved Mizuki. So the first thing I wanted to ask is, just generally, what was your general experience with the character? Any novel approaches to it? Anything at all?
So that one, first of all, Uchikoshi is an amazing writer, and I think you hit it on the head that it was a game that was serious without taking itself too seriously. Uchikoshi really wrote a script that really was good at being serious when it needed to be, and then not being serious when it didn't need to be. And And also, I mentioned Chris Fiala earlier, who is the director, the English voice director on Genshin Impact. That was actually where I met Chris Fiala in the Somnium Files. That's why I was so excited to get to work with him again in Genshin Impact, because like the year before I worked on the Somnium Files with him, and I was like, oh yes, I get to work with Chris again. So it was really cool because that was the first time I met him, and so I got to see like how he got to work, and we really clicked during that whole it's always nice when you really click with the director. And approaching Mizuki, because yeah, it was a visual novel, and it was definitely more heavy than other things that I usually do, which I love, because then I get to play more with the emotions of it. Mizuki goes through a lot as that character. As a 12-year-old too, because I mean, I'm trying not to say any spoilers for any people who do want to play the game later, but Mizuki as a 12-year-old goes through so much emotionally with her parents, and then also dealing with the main character Date, and kind of does like learning that Date is going to stick around for her, because that was the main thing that I wanted to hit, was that like when recording as this character, was that she's not she's not an asshole to Date because she's just a jerk. She's an asshole because she's a 12-year-old who's been abandoned and expects him to abandon her too. So it and I understood that going in, so it was really nice to be able to play that with Chris. And when the scenes got serious, it was a nice talk through what's going on in the scene, and he would say the other lines, so that way I had something to react off of. And it was very nice to work with a director that worked the way that worked for me, which is discussing these scenes and beforehand, then going through it, and then maybe discussing it a little bit more after we go through it, to see what did we miss, or what did we learn, what did we pick up, or what could we pick up, what happens if we play with it, stuff like that. And so I love that game so much. Being a part of it, and being a part of a character, she's honestly my favorite character in the game. And I loved that I got to play as her. And like it was just really nice also to really be able to show what I could do emotionally as an actor.
And like, guys, I mean, give the girl a fucking break. I mean, the game cold opens with her being trapped in a fucking merry-go-round where a murder happened.
Yeah, a murder happened, and she's there with an ice pick in her hand, and it's bloody, and she's trapped in the merry-go-round. And
like, would you be chipper and joyful in that situation?
No.
But
so she goes through quite a bit, like so much, and like just
not to spoil too much, but yeah, there was a lot of character development and a lot of emotional ties, just like emotional moments. And that's also just kind of inherent in the genre, though, with these visual novels. They definitely are known for focusing a lot on the narrative, which in turn means there's a lot more spoken voice lines that need to be recorded. So for you as a voice actor, and especially when you voice these, main characters in these big games, is there anything you specifically do to kind of prepare for these long recording sessions, some of which, very intensive, take a lot of dexterity out of your throat? Is there anything you prepare for it? Anything that you would recommend doing while you're doing it, or maybe what you do after the fact to recover?
Lots of water before and during. Lots of water. And then afterward, then you go and do the tea. Also, just a lot of self-care in between sessions, and especially if they are like high volume screaming sessions, having days of vocal rest, and really taking care of your voice in that respect. And because I remember when I was recording for the Somnium Files, I really did, like, it took, because it's not just a voice thing. When you have to actually explore all of these other emotions, like crying, which with Mizuki, literally, I had to cry in every single session. I actually joked about it quite a bit, and even Chris Faella was like, "This is the last session you have to ever have to cry in." I was like, "Great!" And then 2 days later, I come in to record more, and he was like, "I lied," and he's like, "I'm sorry. I thought that really was the last time." And I was like, God. So yeah, I had to cry in every single session. And it takes a lot out of you physically. I know I was just dead after coming home after those recordings, because I had to go through so many of those types of emotions, that afterwards I was like, I just want sleep. I just want to sleep from now on. That's all I want to do. So, just being kind to yourself in the process of doing all those things, and making sure that I try not to have milk products during the week,
Mm.
because milk can cause a lot of phlegm to develop in your throat, and in your mouth, and it makes more mouth noises, and that makes the job harder for sound engineers. So I like to make their job easier, so I try not to drink any sort of milk products during the week, and um yeah, definitely just lots of
Wow.
water.
Well, and you have a very diverse portfolio of all the things that you've worked in throughout the years. And so another one that I want to touch on, and now guys, I mean, even looking behind me, you see that I'm a big fan of shonen and, mech animes, and, guilty as charged. But what you guys may not know is there is a series I'm actually a big fan of that you'd never guess. That is the Love Live series. My partner is part of a Love Live School Idol project and the other variations of it. Cover group, shout out to Kira Springfield. And so, yeah, I'm pretty much into the Love Live universe. And so the next character I want to talk to you about is, she is part of the group that is about the closest to the series antagonist as the series can get. That, of
Mhm.
course, is Anju Yuki from Love Live School Idol Project. So again, before we get too in depth with it, what was your experience with Yuki? Any novel approaches to it? Anything at all?
Yeah, Yuki was my first named character in an anime.
Wow.
So, like Love Live is such a cute little anime to begin with, and then I love it so much because of the fact that that was the first anime that I was in where I was like, I have a name. I have a name. I actually have a name. I'm not small girl A. I have a name, and I'm in multiple episodes. That's amazing. And I'm in one of the movies. And so it'll always be near and dear to my heart, because yeah, Yuki didn't really necessarily have a lot of lines, but that's that was huge for me, because I was like, I'm doing it. I'm finally doing it.
I've made it,
And
Mom.
Love Live is also, you mentioned, as close to the antagonist as you can possibly get. And I think that's like one of the things that I do love about Love Live is that it's not necessarily like they are rivals, but they're not rivals that hate each other.
Mhm.
They're rivals that build each other up. And I feel like with Love Live, that's kind of the same way. It mirrors the voice acting industry. For example, I go against one of my best friends, Kaylee Mills, in a lot of roles all the time. And but she's like one of my best friends. And it's never like, oh, you got that audition too. I hope you don't get it. Like that's no,
Cutthroat,
that's
yeah.
toxic. Screw that. We don't want that. And also thinking that toxic way, then you're really not gonna get anything at that point. Like you're not. But in voice acting, anytime that I go up against one of my friends, it's, oh, I hope if I don't get it, that you get it. And one of my other good friends that I also go up against with a lot of roles, even worded it the best way. Ryan Bartley, she's amazing, but she said, "You get the roles you are meant to get. You
Oh, I
book
like
the
that.
roles you are meant to book. So it doesn't matter if you're going against all of these other people. You will book the ones you are meant to book. Period." And so like sitting there and thinking negative thoughts about your sometimes coworkers, because yeah, you are going up against them audition sometimes, instead of thinking, oh, I'm going up against them, I hate them, like I hope they don't get it, it's mine. You're not gonna book everything that you audition for,
Yeah.
first of all. So just get that out of your mind. You're gonna audition 100 times and maybe book one thing, that's it. But also being like, you know what, it was better that they got it. I see why they got it over me. And instead of having it be like a mean competition, having it be a friendly competition. And it's almost like having a friendlier competition is like a way to hype you up to become better without also bringing another person down. Because instead of me being like, I need to be better than Kaylee, it's more of, hey Kaylee, I did this, so come beat me,
Yeah.
beat me. You're inviting them to beat you
Yeah.
at the game. And it's much more fun that way. Because who likes toxicity? No, screw that noise. Fuck that. We, inviting a more idea of a friendly competition type of thing is, I think, what I love about like shows like this, where it does show that, yeah, they're competitors, but they're actually kind of rooting for each other. They're gonna do their best and they want to win, but they're also like, you know what? If I can't win, I hope you do.
Yeah, Christian Lamont, a previous guest that we had on, who's also a huge fan of the Love Live
Yes, he
project,
is.
series.
I love him.
A quote that I'll never forget is, he says it all the time, says, all girls are best girls.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's very indicative of the series. Also, real quick, Eric, I'm going to try to pronounce your last name, but I'm probably going to butcher it. Coolnost? Sorry if I butchered that, bud. Tuned in, and he said, Master has given Dobby a name. In reference to you finally getting a name character.
Yes.
All
That's
right.
funny.
Alrighty, guys. Well, with this, I did want to reiterate one final point, and you still have time to do this. But if you haven't already, either message Visioncon directly, your viewers' comments and questions, or put it in the live chat. Again, if you're watching this live on Facebook, still got time to do so. But when we go to our next segment, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. So, Corina, we all know what Twitch is. And it kind of seems that a lot of people have, Twitch accounts now, which, is kind of indicative to, the certain situation that we're in right now. We have a lot of us have a lot more free time. But I will say, for a while, whenever it was announced that another celebrity made another Twitch channel, I would internally roll my eyes, being like, who doesn't have a Twitch channel nowadays? However, that opinion changed about the time that we started making this show, because there's something about voice actors having Twitch channels. You guys just fucking get it. Like, you guys understand how to interact with an audience while simultaneously, doing something on stream, whether that's crafting, video games, interviews, etc. So real quick, guys, I want to talk to Corina Boettger all about Twitch. So let me actually bring it up real quick.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, do that full screen. All right. Okay, and then hit the share screen. As much as I love Zoom, and it's very easy to use, you give up what you get from a convenience, you give up in reliability.
Yeah. Super true.
Give me one second. All right, here we go. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, Corina, I just got to ask, what was the inspiration involved with you getting your own Twitch channel, and kind of what are some of the things that the folks watching at home can expect if they haven't already followed you and are an avid watcher?
So basically my idea was, and I'm not the first person with this idea, but mind you,
Sure.
but my original idea was, because I had, at that point, I booked, Mega Dimension Neptunia V2, and it was my first time ever voicing a character in a video game. And I was like, you know what? Wouldn't it be really cool if I were to stream the games that I were in, and some other games that I just like, but mostly the games that I was in, and find fans that way. Because I think like the thing that I like about Twitch is the accessibility fans get to have with their streamers, and you get to talk with them, and it's kind of like being at a con, but it's just always happening whenever you're on, and it kind of can be on your schedule, and you're playing video games at the same time. So if nobody's talking in the chat, at least I'm playing video games.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, win-win. I get to talk with people who want to talk with me, or I play video games. I love video games, and yeah, because I was like, like this seems like a really good idea of like a way to interact with people who also like the games that I'm in. And so it started with Mega Dimension Neptunia when that finally came out. I started doing the Twitch streams of like getting my character and then like talking about, the behind the scenes stuff. And then every time I had a video game that came out, I would always try to play that video game. So that way, excuse me, I could talk to the fans about it while I was playing it. And so that started like 5-6 years ago ish. um you know and it just continued to grow with everything that I booked and whatnot. And I just really like the idea of like, because fans are always like, oh, I just want to interact with you, and I'm like, then watch me on Twitch. I always try to interact with the people while I'm playing the video games, because I also understand like, yeah, it's fun to see somebody play through it and then also be able to be like, oh yeah, I remember when I recorded that part. Here's a story that goes along with it.
Yeah. Behind the scenes.
And especially with Genshin Impact, and because I am close with the director, as I said, Chris Fiala, amazing director, and I've become friends with him, and we just clicked. I convinced him to stream, because I started streaming. I actually got a couple of other voice actors to stream, and I was telling them you need to do it. I remember telling Allegra Clark that she needed to do it, and now she does it on a regular basis. I didn't tell Sean Chiplock to, but he streams as well. And Jen Losi is now streaming, and she's the voice of Ganyu in Genshin Impact. And we all like sometimes even stream together. And so not only will you be on my Twitch stream, but you'll also hear Jen Losi and other people that are in Genshin Impact right now, because we are all very close. And I'm gonna get Kaylee Mills on my stream eventually to talk about her character and all that stuff too. So yeah, I just really think that Twitch is a great way to play video games, because I love playing video games, and also getting in contact with the fans and talking about all the things that they like about the characters, and ask questions about voice acting and stuff like that. And I'm always like, it's funny because like I actually had one of my mods that was like, how do you not like get frustrated when people ask the same question over and over again? And I'm like, well, they weren't there 5 minutes ago, so I can't get frustrated at them. And I also just really enjoy talking about acting. Like it's crazy, but like I'm like, if you tell me like, hey, I want to talk to you about acting for like a good hour, I will give you 2 hours.
Hell
yeah. I truly do love my job, and I love every second of it, and I've loved it since I was 5.
Oh.
And I knew since I was 5 that this is what I wanted to do, and that I was going to make it happen. And so yeah, it's like I get that when other people are like, oh, I just don't want to talk about acting anymore, I already did it all this week. I'm not that person. I'm like, you brought up acting, let me tell you about this thing. Like I'm that person.
Well, William chimed in the chat and he said, partnership, Lego, my man right there. But he brings up a good point. You have recently were assigned partner.
Yep, I'm finally partnered on Twitch, and I have all of the fans to thank for that, and I really appreciate it, because like I've been trying to get partnered since I started Twitch 5 or 6-ish years ago, or however long I've been streaming. So it's very exciting.
Right, oh, and then before we sign off, Corina, we're here. I might as well. Boop, there you go.
Yay! Thank you.
All right, give me one. Okay. All right, now let me shut that down. All righty, guys. Well, as I've mentioned before, plenty of you have already messaged Visioncon directly or put your viewers' comments and questions in the live chat on Facebook. You have time to do so, but it is your last chance because, ladies and gentlemen, we're in the plug zone. Corina Boettger, now is your opportunity to plug, promote, advertise, whatever verb you want to use, anything you want. The floor is yours.
Cool. So as we just mentioned, I do have a Twitch channel. You can find it at twitch.tv/Corina Boettger. I try to stream regularly. It just depends on my schedule, and also I have Crohn's disease, so sometimes I get sick and I don't feel like it. So pay attention to my Twitter. Usually my Twitter, and I also have a Discord that's attached to my Twitch, and you can enter in that Discord on my Twitch channel page. And I usually keep you guys up to date. I usually stream every day at 8 p.m. Except Sundays. Except today, I am streaming today. This is the exception. This is the exception Sunday. I'm streaming today because I'm streaming after this stream. So yeah. And yes, I do have a Twitter. It's you can find me at Corina Boettger. It's really, I made everything really easy because it's all just my name. My Instagram is also at Corina Boettger, and then my TikTok you can find at Corina Boettger. I post a lot of like little fun TikTok skits every now and then, and I also talk about a lot of other stuff on my TikToks. And yeah, I even post videos of my bird who I love. Her name is Zulu. She's a green cheek conure. That's her on my face. She decided that she wanted to be an eye patch that day, I guess. And so yeah, you can find me there. And I've been convincing a lot of the Genshin Impact class to also join TikTok. So if you follow me on TikTok, you're probably gonna get a lot of the other people too to go along with it. And then I also have a website, www.corinaboettger.com. You can see all the other characters that I voiced that weren't mentioned here today. And you can also email me through that website as well. I also do classes for acting classes, which if you email me through my website, you can get more information about those classes through my website. And it will, like, once you email, it will go over price and what time they are and all that stuff. So yeah. I think that's everything.
Well, and guys, I have all of those links in the live chat if you're watching this live on Facebook, or if you're watching this later on YouTube. It's going to be down there in the description box below. And now before we go out of the plug zone, real quick, just because I think it's super neat, you want to talk a little bit about this hairpin?
Yes. So that hairpin was made by a cosplayer. You can find them on Instagram, and their TikTok as well is at onihime.png. And yeah, I'm wearing it right now because I love it so much. It's really well made. I commissioned them to do it. Well, they first offered it to me for free, and I was like, no, I'm gonna pay you. Let me pay you, please. So yeah, I don't know if their commissions are currently open. You would have to ask them, but I highly suggest them because this is like really, really well made. I'm very happy with this little Paimon hairpin that I have now, and eventually I will have the full cosplay.
When you guys are watching later on YouTube, we'll have Orihime's all of the contact info and social media down there in the description box below, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, we're out of the plug zone and going right into viewers' comments and questions. So as I usually do, guys, just kind of split it up evenly just so we have time to get as many as possible. Do some from the messenger and some from the live chat. So the first one is two-pronged. It's going to be from Mindy Kilgore. Give me 1 sec because there's a visual component.
Okay.
So before we get to the visual component, I'll go ahead and read her question. So Mindy said, what is the biggest thing to keep in mind if you want to get into voice acting?
Classes. All of the you need acting classes. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much natural talent you have, because I had natural talent too. It didn't help. You need classes. And the reason why is not only to learn how to act, but also because classes are how you network. And you want to make sure that your teacher is currently working in the industry, currently, not 10 years ago. If they haven't worked in 10 years, if they haven't worked, how are they going to help you how to work? Like, if they, so yeah, make sure your teacher is somebody who's currently working in the industry, because then you can not only learn how to do the job, but then also how to get your foot in the door. Like I said earlier, I got into voice acting classes and I asked my teachers questions on how to get my foot in the door, and they taught me how to do it properly, so that way you don't make a mistake, because there's many different ways to get in the industry. Don't get me wrong, there are many different ways, but there are also a lot of ways that you can get yourself blacklisted before you even started. And I feel like that's where people don't know where the line is. They're like, they don't do anything to try try and get into the industry because they don't want to make a mistake and get blacklisted, but then they don't do anything, so they don't get any auditions. So, getting into those classes and asking teachers that are currently working in the industry, what do I do, is the way that you can learn how to get your foot in the door and then also learn how to do the job.
Mm-hmm. And then that aforementioned visual component, I got that up. Mindy is also a very accomplished artist as well, and so she put together.
Oh my god, it's so cute! Oh my goodness, I love it! Oh, I love fan art. Guys, by the way, if you ever do fan art, feel free to tag me in it. I don't get annoyed. I don't get annoyed by fan art. I love it.
Thank you guys for watching, and for those of you that are just audio listeners, Mindy's Instagram is at @mkilgoreart. Kilgore is spelled Kilgore.
That's so cute.
All right. Okay. And then so M tuned in, and they just wanted to say thanks for being yourself, Corina. I'm non-binary as well, and it's so nice to see the representation in the voice acting industry. Your voice acting is lovely. I hope you and Zach are having a wonderful day/night.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. As a person who's in the LGBT community, I mean, like, I came out as bisexual a long time ago, but like, yeah, the non-binary thing was always something that I was like, oh no, I don't know if I should come out as that. Because there is still some, people in the industry who may or may not judge based off of stupid things like that. But the industry, I can say it's gonna get better. It is getting better. And I can tell you that, like, when I came out, because I came out this year as non-binary, and MiHoYo was so awesome about it. They were like, we're gonna make sure that we say your pronouns right, all that stuff. And then they let me know, by the way, Paimon is emergency food, and emergency food doesn't have a gender. And I go, wait, what?
There you go.
Paimon uses they, she pronouns.
There you go. And
they try to, in the game, they try to say they as much as possible. There are a few times where people say it's she, but that's why they say, oh, Paimon's they, she. Sure. But yeah, Paimon's emergency food. And emergency food doesn't have a gender.
There you go. And like,
they let me know that.
And then, like, guys, for those of you watching, either live here on Facebook or later on YouTube, just always know that, representation is very important, and that your feelings are valid however you identify, whomever you love. Just know you're valid. And for me especially, I love all of you. Alrighty, guys. Okay, so then next. Okay, so Minnie also. Wait. Sorry, it's loaded up real quick.
No worries.
William, who also wanted to specify, hey, Cor, it's Will Bill.
Oh, hey!
So he said, Cor, is it funny when other people in your house hear you voice act?
I think they're used to it by now. I mean, I now have a booth behind me, as you see, that I can voice act in for all of my auditions and stuff like that. But before we got the booth, it was the beginning of quarantine, so I had to work from home, and so I had to have a very janky setup because I had to do what I could with like a room divider with foam on it and mass vinyl or vinyl mass. And there would be some days where I was like, hey Eddie, tomorrow I have to record for Somali in the Forest Spirit, which go watch that on Crunchyroll. I play Somali in that. It's really cute. But it was towards the end of the season, and of course the end of the season has a lot more scenes where Somali is crying or Somali is screaming for some reason. And so apparently Eddie was like, yeah, the beginning of quarantine was rough because I would have to get up early and he would want to sleep in, and then I would wake him up with the sound of a child crying, because Somali's 7. But for the most part, I think they're used to it.
Yeah. Well, he also, just real quick, and I know we're going back to this subject, but, I think it's important. He said he gets confused with they, them pronouns. Wilbud, I have friends who are non-binary and prefer they, them pronouns, and so I'm grossly oversimplifying the explanation, but if it helps, man, just whatever you think he or she, just say they or them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. It's actually easier than you think, because we do it automatically without even realizing it. Like anytime that you don't know necessarily somebody's gender, we always say, "Oh, what are they doing?" But that's, you already do it without thinking about it. um um you know, and but I do understand that, like, mistakes are going to be made. I misgender myself all the time, and I'm honestly more offended when I misgender myself versus when anybody else does it, because when anybody else does it, I know it's, most of the time it's an accident, and if it's somebody who they're trying to misgender me on purpose, I'm like, well, they're not worth my time, so
Oh,
whatever.
in that case,
um
it's hands.
exactly. But like, you know, when it's myself, I'm like, oh no, I did it, no. But it's a habit, and you just got to get in the habit. I actually starting to get in the habit of calling people they them before they tell you what their gender is a good way to practice that, because you definitely don't know. There are people that come off more I definitely come off more feminine, so people automatically assume she. But like, my idea is, stop assuming. Wait, you start using they them until they tell you, because, you know, then you won't make a mistake. But mistakes are going to be made. I know that, you know, I politely correct people, and they're like, I'm so sorry, and I'm like, it's okay,
I
you're
mean,
good.
there's nothing wrong to admit, you know, when you messed up. Now, if you
Yeah,
if you misgender someone on purpose, I mean,
you're an asshole.
don't forget, it's hands. But if you just do it on accident, you know, it's nothing wrong with just apologizing and, you know, doing better.
And yeah, and trying. And I mean, like, even my boyfriend, he misgenders me a little bit here and there too, and he always immediately corrects himself afterwards. So I'm like, as long as you correct yourself afterwards, you don't even have to apologize, because correcting yourself is the apology. You know, like, you already know you screwed up, you're fixing
Yeah.
it.
That has been VisionCon Live's newest segment, LGBTQA plus corner.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we got time for one more question. We're going to throw over to my boy Aaron, who said, in honor of Aristocats' golden anniversary, if if they had been completely reformed, would Sailor Tin Nyanko want to jam with O'Malley and Alley Cats, or sing and paint with Duchess and her kittens? Okay, actually, Aaron, real quick, kind of jumping back to the non-binary comment. Okay, I accidentally kind of censored you when you were saying she. I thought you were referring to Corina. You were actually referring to the character. My bad. So if she had been completely reformed, meaning Sailor Tin Nyanko, would she want to jam with O'Malley and Alley Cats, or sing and paint with Duchess and her kittens?
So, based off of like how Sailor Shenyanko is in the show, I think she would want to be with Duchess. She, like, Sailor Shenyanko always had an air about her that she was better than everybody. So I think she would definitely not stoop that low to be with Alley Cats.
Fair.
You know, yeah, that's my take on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, with that, that's about all the time we got for episode 44 of VisionCon Live and the season 1 finale. So guys, before we wrap things up, Karina, any final thoughts to leave us on? Any words of advice?
My advice is, whatever you want to do, um, figure out that is what you want to do. That's why my parents put me in classes and community theater when I said I wanted to be an actor, to really see that I want to do it. Um, and and you know, my mom sat me down and was like, okay, since you really want to do this, here's all the bad sides about that industry. You might not make it. You might be poor for the rest of your life. You know, all of these things might happen. Do you still want to do this? And I said, yes. If you can hear all the bad things about whatever industry you want to be in and still want to be a part of it, then go for it. And you know, it's funny because, like, I get comments from people that are like, you tell me all these bad things, it seems like you're discouraging me. And I'm like, I kind of am, because you need to know the bad things first, so that way you can assess, do I really want it that badly? Do I want to go through all of those hardships to be whatever I want to be? If the answer is still yes, then go for it. Then it's worth all the amount of time and effort that you're putting into. And so whatever you want to do, really know that you want to do it and go for it.
I love that. And if you're watching this right now and people intentionally misgender you, you can go ahead and tell them, that Corina Boettger and Zach Wilson are coming for him.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 44 and the season finale of Visioncon Live. Don't worry, guys. Next Sunday, we're going right into season 2 with Mick Wingert for episode 45. But until next time, right? Until next time, I, of course, am your host, Zach Wilson. But much more importantly, this has been my very special guest, Corina Boettger. Make sure to check out all the links down in the description box below. And always remember, guys, that life's better when you have friends to share it with.